Okay, good afternoon. Hello everyone. Greetings from Turku. And welcome to this Vaadin Add-on webinar. So I'm Sami and here is Marc.
Hello everyone. I'm very excited to be here. This is actually my first webinar, so I get to check that off my bucket list later on tonight, if you survive.
Yeah, I think you will survive. We have a very favorite topic for us, so the add-ons is something that we both have done in the history quite a lot, so it's good to be here to share that experience with you and help you actually create new add-ons for Vaadin. Let's take a look at the agenda for the webinar. So if you can, we start from the basics. So what are the add-ons first of all? So most of you probably know all this, but it's good to have a recap there. We tell a little bit about the internals, how they look like internally, what different categories there are for that add-ons, what you should think of. But mostly we are trying to show here how you can actually create one. So Marc has prepared a small demo for us like this.
I'm going to do some live coding here, so let's see how that goes. That's always exciting.
Yes, it is. So that's going to be on the JavaScript side. I think this is one of the most typical ones we are experiencing these days. So having some JavaScript add-on for Vaadin. And then we are going to talk about packaging and publishing. So there are small things to consider there also, and we'll check that later on. But yes, the basics. What are Vaadin add-ons? And I was thinking this the same way I think of the framework. So the purpose of the framework is to hide the HTML implementation into Java packages. So have a standard Java API for web development, and that's how the framework works, and that's how fundamentally the add-ons also work. So if you think of the typical Java EE application here, you have a lot of things to consider there on the client side, on the communication, on the server side, and what Vaadin takes care of you is most of this stuff. So you can let your user focus on the business logic of your application and not so much on how the details of single component work. And this is exactly how the add-ons also work. So they take some specific aspect of the user interface, take care of most of the stuff for the rest of the developers, so they can actually get their job done there, and the actual application. If you consider Vaadin component, Vaadin add-on, it typically consists of the two logical parts, the client-side part and the server-side part, and then between there is the communication. So the server-side part is what most of the Java developers see. That's the Java API, like a button, tree. These are the core components in Vaadin. And the client side is taking the heavy lifting on the visual stuff, like rendering the table, showing some fancy animations and stuff like that. That runs on the browser side. On the server side, you use the Java tooling, JDK basically, and on the client side, you have also Java through the Qt compiler, and also you can use plain JavaScript there. So if you're only doing a small integration, JavaScript might be a better option than having the Qt compiler. The magic is the packaging. So basically, if you think this is a small client server now, so you are taking both of these and putting those into a single jar file. So you're actually sharing a small client server application there, or component. And okay, once you have it packaged there, you probably want to reach some developers to share your work with. So that's when it comes to the directory. I think most of you are familiar with this one. So if you have been using Vaadin already, this is the place to find more functionality, more features to Vaadin framework. So you can find it there in vaadin.com under the download sections. There is add-ons, and there is a search and categorization that you can use to look for specific functionality. I think Google is your friend here also, so you can just Google Vaadin something and you probably end up in the directory where there is an implementation for that.
From the point of view of us creating the add-ons, this is actually quite rewarding as well. We have both been spending quite a lot of extra time on making add-ons here. And the best thing is when you get to distribute these and get feedback and you can improve and implement what people are requesting. So
yeah, absolutely.
A really nice way to.
So please give those ratings because they are the kind of they are the reward of creating an add-on. Right. So basically, the directory has two purposes. So from application development point of view, it's finding those new features. So you need some functionality in your application. That's the place to look for. And I encourage everyone to go there. So even though you are keen to build your own add-on, there might be an implementation, a very good implementation already there in the directory. So please check first. So I've actually encountered a couple of times that okay, this would be a cool idea, but actually somebody had already done it, so maybe I use that one. So
yeah, we are getting pretty close to there's an add-on for that.
Yeah.
Saying.
Yeah, that's true. There is an add-on for that. So, but for you as an add-on author, so if you want to publish something, this is the place to be. So you actually can reach the whole Vaadin community. You have some fancy stuff there and you really want to share that with your friends, so just put it out there. So currently there is 400 or nearly 500 add-ons there, and it's constantly growing. So I don't know if it's visible there in the background, but there are statistics there. So we have monthly downloads around 50,000. So, and it's constantly growing. So good news for those who had used directory previously. We haven't abandoned it in any way, so we are actually taking it forward. So I took here a couple of screenshots what's coming next. So there will be new look and feel, more graphics on directory. You probably can have your own icons there, and we are also adding some level of mobile support or responsive layouting there. So taking the directory interface a little bit further. Of course, you have the Maven integration there in the background, so that's there, but this is the UI. Right. So let's.
I think we should actually. I think we have a question that would be a good idea to mention right now.
Yeah.
So when you make an add-on, you don't have to distribute it through the directory, or it's not the only way to do it. You can also make add-ons for, say, internal use at your company. So you might package all those pre-made features that you make during projects so that you can use them in other projects in your company.
Exactly.
And many are also kind of curating their own lists of their favorite add-ons in the directory, so that they have kind of a version that they know is working for them, and they might have done some styling and so on for those.
Yeah, only for those add-ons.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. So I also seen that there are big companies, they want to kind of streamline their development, so they are creating their own add-ons for that specific purpose. And that's correct way of doing that. So there is no need to put it in the directory. That's just the open source part we are very comfortable with. So if you don't like publishing it, you don't have to. It still might be useful for you. And yeah, so basically that's what it boils down to. So there are kind of two categories in here. So the internal ones and the open source ones. So might be that something starts with as an internal add-on. So you have something that you have created for your own applications, for your own team, kind of just set roles in your company so that you take care of this functionality, and that's one add-on and others are just using it. But if it turns into an open source project, then directory is the de facto place to publish it. So even though the source code is probably somewhere else, so that's where add-ons are. When you start doing an add-on or a component for Vaadin, it's basically solving a problem. So you are solving a user experience problem for developer and for the end user. So there are always the two parts in that. So because Vaadin is an UI framework, everything basically has to do with the end user interaction. But also the API is your product here. So if you are creating an add-on or component, please pay attention to the API you are creating. That's one of your users also. So don't forget that usability. Other than that, rest is implementation. So basically that's what you handle, or maybe you have found something third-party library that handles something very well, and you want to just integrate that one. Yeah, so if you take a look at what different kind of add-ons or components there are for Vaadin, you found these categories in the directory. So widgets, they are the most typical ones. So people create something that is visible there, so interact with the data, interact with the user. Extensions, more or less invisible data, and tools are categories which are less visible to the end user. They might be developer tools or data integration tools.
As we might see in a while here, the invisible thing with the extensions, for instance, is not so clear-cut as are the other things. We're actually going to create an extension that is visible but is not put in the layout.
So. Right. Yeah, so widgets, so the categorization. Widgets are something that go in the layout, so they are visible there. User interact, they might show some data, they interact with the user and maybe send some events to the business logic layer. Extensions, like Marc said, they are more or less disconnected from the layout, but that doesn't make that they are invisible, so they might add some visual stuff there, but in different way.
Yeah, so if they appear in the layout, they are always connected to a component, I think, and then they might do other things that are not visible.
Yeah, so if you think that this is a refresher example here, so refresher is something that calls back to the server, so this is no way visible to the user other than that it enhances the communication between the backend and the front end. Right, and the data layer, so these are the property item container data model which Vaadin has an integration with that on your custom backend. So we don't know what backends are out there, so you probably want to have your own versions of data integration. Right, so I was thinking that now is a good time to actually see what you have integrated.
Okay, let's do it. Yes, live coding. So
live coding.
Okay, yes, you can see my desktop. So As you probably know, we have something called notifications in Vaadin, small messages that pop up over your UI to call attention to something. And they actually show up within the browser in the Vaadin UI. But in modern browsers, I've heard that we have something called the Web Notification API. So that is enables you to show from the web, show notification that is integrated with the operating system. So it pops up outside of the browser.
Right.
So that's what we are going to try to achieve today. So right away, I'm going to go over here to caniuse.com to check out. As you can see,
so this is a site where you can see where.
You can see this. This is regarding the web notifications API, a working draft. As you can see, Firefox, Chrome, and Safari has and Opera as well has supported these for a while, and IE not so much. It's under consideration, but so you obviously need to check out first if this matches your needs. But this is good enough for me. So what I did is I checked if I would find something that we could integrate, and actually what we wanted to do is to, because we have been getting a lot of questions about integrating JavaScript libraries and doing sort of integrations with JavaScript. So there are libraries in GWT for this and so on, or you could roll your own from scratch. But we really wanted to show the JavaScript integration. So I found
the minimal way of doing.
Yes. So I found a handy library called Notify.js that seems to achieve what I'm looking for. And so I'm going to download that.
So this is encapsulating the web notification API in a JavaScript API.
Yes, so we're going to see in a minute, hopefully, if we get it working, how that works. So now I'm going to pop over to Eclipse here to start a new project. I don't know if you can see the text here, but I'm choosing a new Vaadin 7 project. And we're going to name this Web Notifications. And we're actually going to use most of the defaults here. You're probably all familiar with creating projects. I might mention...
So this is Eclipse with the Vaadin plugin
installed. I'm using the Vaadin plugin here. You could obviously use Maven or whatever
so basically that's what I'm using. So
yes, so I'm using Eclipse now with the plugin to show how that works. So we are going to fill in some basic application details here. So that's fine with me. Since this is my personal project, I'm going to use a domain I've been using for these. For an add-on like this, the UI is actually just going to be used for demonstration purposes.
Right.
You might set it up differently. This is the easy way to do it. In Maven, you might have a separate testing project, or you might also in Eclipse set it up separately. But we're going to go with these defaults and quickly set up so we get a demo UI and get it working, and then we can start.
This is exactly how I have done it also. So you put the simplest possible demo UI inside the same package. Just to make it easier to work with the first implementation, but then I have the real demo outside there. So that's something I could recommend. So always have the separate demo application. So it makes smoke testing your add-on.
So the add-on has created for us the demo UI here, the basic one. You have probably all seen it.
Hello world.
I'll open it here and hopefully we'll remember to edit it to add our notification later. I usually forget that step, so please remind me if you notice this. Yes, and so as I mentioned, we already know that we are going to have a notification that is going to show up outside of the browser. So it's not going to be in the layout of your application at all.
Right.
So for that, as you mentioned, an extension is appropriate. So what we are going to do is a JavaScript extension.
Yeah. So speaking of extensions, this is now extension for the UI. So the whole UI,
yes.
Or not a single component.
Yes. So an extension could also extend a component. This is kind of a global notification. So we're going to make it extend the UI. Obviously, you could implement this in many ways. You could extend a button and make it so that it shows the notification when you click it.
Right.
Probably doesn't make sense to make it that way, but depending on the library that you are integrating, you might want to extend a component or make an extension for the UI.
So basically, if you have something global, the UI is the extension point for that one.
If I were to do kind of, can I call it a proper widget, proper add-on for Vaadin, then so that's using GWT all the way and Java and having strong typing and so on. Then I might go ahead and do a new Vaadin widget from the plugin.
From the wizard.
And you can here choose a template that's full-fledged, and it will create for you all the different parts that you might want to use when doing the whole thing. So a server-side component that communicates with a client-side widget using a connector that also with RPC and state. So all those things are going to be created. You can delete them as needed. But since we know that we are going to end up deleting almost all of those because we are so doing kind of a special thing. We're integrating a JavaScript library and we are making an extension. So we're not going to do that today. Instead, we are going to pop over here.
One thing that, at least for me, it seems clear that there is no state in that. It's only showing the notification. So
exactly.
You don't need the state object there.
Exactly. So you might quite quickly come to the situation where you have a state that you need to then it's easier to use a state. Just go ahead and do that if you need it. But this is going to be a one-time operation that you show the notification. And that's it.
So the RPC is much better. Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite places, the wiki on Vaadin.com. And I found a page that seems kind of like it would suit us, integrating a JavaScript library as an extension. So just going through this, we can see how we can go about doing this. So first of all, we noticed that we should probably extend abstract JavaScript extension. And you can probably not see that, so I'm going to make it bigger. So you can go over here and read through the whole thing later, but I'm going to point out the important parts for our purposes here. So here is an example of something integrating, the integrating part, that is the connector that we're going to make. This one is using the Google Analytics libraries, but so the important part is going to be this. And here we have an example of how to do this. So we are extending a JavaScript extension and it needs some JavaScript library. So I'm going to go ahead here and start coding. So we are gonna do a new class, and it's going to be a web notification, and we need abstract JavaScript extension, and we are going to want some constructor here. So, and as I said, we're going to extend the UI. So that's pretty much the only thing we need to do here in the constructor.
Right. So now it's
like so. And then the next thing probably is that we had that notify.js library that we need to.
Yeah, so you downloaded something.
So I probably need, we're going to resolve that. We probably need to add that. So we're going to go over here and we need notify.js. One thing to mention right now is probably that when you're using some library, you should probably make sure that it has a license that suits your needs.
Yeah,
and
so absolutely.
Also comply with those. So I'm going to copy the license as well here.
Yeah, so don't distribute anything that you are not allowed to distribute. So
yes.
So check the licenses first.
So we have that in our project, and as we saw here in the wiki page, we can inject JavaScript by using an annotation here. So
this is now Vaadin annotation to include
yes,
JavaScript.
So we are going to need
our array of
yes, because as we noticed here as well, we are going to need a connector. So I now have injected the notify.js that we are going to use, and then we are going to need some JavaScript that actually uses it, which is called a connector in Vaadin terminology. So we are going to make something like web notification,
for example.
Connector.
Yeah.
JS.
But this is now apparently this is different from the wiki page example where it was dynamically loading the JS from.
Yes.
And it only had the connector there. So now you have both the implementation and the connector.
So I'm creating a JavaScript file for that. We need to make sure that it's named correctly so that it's loaded. And so we're going to refer to the wiki page again to see. This is actually the most tricky part with integrating JavaScript.
Yeah, I noticed this one. So.
Is that
you make typos.
I don't think I've managed to integrate anything without at least one typo somewhere.
Right.
And in JavaScript, you're not going to get any help from the IDE. So as you see here, we need to do some things manually. So we need to have the package name. So this is basically going to connect our component. It's going to find this connector based on this name. So we need to switch
dots to underscores.
And it's called web notifications. So web notification.
Notifications, yes.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about with JavaScript. We have I can already see here that.
Yeah, so there.
So our first
there is
our first typo.
That's a file name. So.
Web notification connector.
Connector, yes.
We should have chosen a shorter name.
Yeah.
So yes, and we probably have more typos. We need to double check everything when we are using JavaScript here. Obviously, if you are doing a GWT component, then you will have all the code completion features of the IDE and so on. So we can see here that this push command is actually just something calling that the connector is using. So that's where we are going to add our methods.
There was a good question about the location of the file. So you put the notify.js now in the same package there.
Yes,
can you use a different package there?
You can put it elsewhere, and if I recall correctly, you could use a CDN or
yeah, so you
whatever,
can put it in a CDN
that should work
and
yeah. So you need to try check it out so that you have the correct path to it. Yeah. This is the easiest one because I just add the name.
Right.
Otherwise, I will obviously need to refer to the actual path.
Yeah.
So let's pop over to the Notify.js because we're going to.
So we need some functionality.
To integrate it, yeah. So we need to actually use it somehow. So we're going to have a look at the documentation, and it looks pretty simple. We can see here that we need to create a notification, and it's going to take a title and a body. It has here a lot of optional parameters that we could implement later, but for now I think we're going to stick with body. Also scrolling down, we can notice that for these web notifications to work, the user has to allow them. So we actually need to ask for permission here.
Yeah, so this is now showing some kind of dialogue to the end user to allow this web application to interact with the desktop.
Basically, I think what we need is to implement. We want our API to be basically request permission, and for now just show with a title and a body. So let's try to do that. Let's start at the JavaScript side, the error-prone side here. So request. Maybe it's better if I shut up when I type and you do the talking.
Yeah, I can.
So this is not going to need anything. Obviously, we need here.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the wrapper for the Notify.js request permission. So we are wrapping the same method in this integration. In this integration layer.
And actually for the function we don't need that one.
Another method for showing the.
Let's keep it short now.
Yeah.
Minimize typos.
Yeah, N is good. Yes.
So yes, it took a title, and I think all the options actually are in
a JSON.
Like yes,
JSON format,
basically yes. So
body.
Actually, we are going to name that. It's going to be
message.
Body is kind of strange in my opinion. Actually, we're going to make our API like this.
Message.
It's going to be a title and then a longer message. So this makes sense for me and matches Vaadin better. So now we have the client side thing, probably, maybe. And then we need to have a server side API for it.
Yeah, so this is now JavaScript on the client side, and now you need to call that somehow.
Yes. So since we are extending the abstract JavaScript extension here, Vaadin makes it very easy, actually. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and match those methods here. So what we need to do is to call those methods just by doing call function. So it will call. This is again string matching here.
That's what you get with JavaScript.
Yeah, so we don't need any arguments for that. And
so you're kind of making typed versions of the untyped versions, or untyped methods.
Yes. So that's basically that's actually one of the benefits of doing the add-on, that you actually the developers using your add-on will just have to deal with the Java API.
Right,
It's
right,
created
and
for them. So kind
APIs.
of wrapping it in a Java API is what we are doing now.
So isolating the mistakes there.
Yeah, we are going to do all the mistakes here.
yeah,
live,
beforehand,
and,
yeah.
and then
for you.
yes. So, and we call that show. And we're going to title. So, we had our typo in both places. So, is this looking pretty?
Yeah, so it makes sense at least to me. So
we're gonna have to give it a go.
Give it a try,
what I mentioned that we actually need to use this, and for once I remembered.
Yeah, okay. This is actually the second hardest part. Actually.
Yes, this is the second hardest part, but it's hard to remember, but not to actually implement.
Right.
So we are going to use our web notification here.
Brand new web notification.
Don't use.
And it's very good.
Yeah, don't use that for real, but for now.
Well, I've been doing that.
So, and we are going to extend this UI. And as you recall, we need to ask for permission, but we don't want to do that every time.
Every time, no.
So we want to do that once. Actually, you should do a more complex logic for this, but for this example, we'll do it once in the init.
Maybe it depends on the application.
Yes.
When it's a good time to ask user for permission.
Yes,
like this.
If you use notifications all the time and it's an integral part of the user experience, then you might ask upfront. Otherwise, the first time a notification is showed would be a good time. So we're going to request permission in init, and here we are going to just as little as possible modify the
you made it. As little as possible. Show.
Okay. Do I have my N here? Show.
What?
Show. Okay, I need. The original didn't have a message actually.
Okay.
So we'll modify it slightly. Thank you.
So you split the message there. Okay. Well.
Okay.
Give it a try, please.
Are we forgetting something?
Probably, but we will find out soon.
So yes, trial and error. That's our name, middle name.
Yeah.
So we're going to run it on server. I have a Tomcat here. We're going to see so that we don't have all kinds of other stuff.
So you basically just created two files there, the integration and the Java file.
Yes, and then the third file is the one that I wanted to use, the notify.
The
so
third party.
Three files make up the whole thing. So we're going to go over to Safari to show how this works for real.
Test it out a little bit, yeah.
If it works. At least it shows up.
It shows up?
That's a good sign.
Should it get the permission at this point?
We'll see. I'm going to see here if it should ask now, because on init, that's a good point. So we're going to try if I have previously allowed it. No. So now we can see that we have a typo somewhere.
Okay, so let's go and find it.
JavaScript. So, okay, first, let's see. We're loading our notify.js.
Yeah, and that's coming from the same package as your...
So the first one in the audience who spots the
typo, please let us know on the forum.
We'll get a shout out here.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see if this matches web notification connector.
Sounds good. And
that's the JS.
As JS,
we have request permission.
And
that
that's a method in the connector.
That seems good enough. And here
we have request permission and this
notify request
title
permission and window.
That's probably the most error prone, having the
web
notification. It's a function. So this is an encapsulation model for JavaScript, basically. So it makes it a very...
Yeah. Who said that it's not a demo if it
doesn't fail?
It doesn't fail. There we have it.
Function. You need function there. Still.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So.
Looks better.
But the good news is that basically here now with the reload, hopefully.
We will reload it.
Yes. So now we get the question that you will get once to allow notifications from this web page.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and allow that.
Right.
And we're going to click the button, and we have some other typo
somewhere because nothing is happening. I think
so
body message
title and
you have let's see,
something is okay. Yes,
but you are not showing it.
We're not showing it.
You are just creating a notification.
So
maybe that's
like
a better one here.
Yeah. So I didn't forget to add it to the demo UI, but I forgot to show the whole thing here.
Yeah.
So yes, there's always one place. One typo, one place.
Okay.
So now we shouldn't get a permission dialog here.
Yeah, because you already gave the permissions. But
and so if Tomcat was fast enough here now, we should get a notification. Yes,
on
it's
desktop.
working.
Right. So now it's outside.
So you can see it's outside the browser. And not, yes. But to show kind of what we were...
applications.
Yes, what we were talking about. So obviously now we're clicking a button and the notification shows up. It's not very useful in some situations. Like you deleted something, you added something, some operations. Notifications can be very good.
But it sounds more like a background thing.
Yes, so we might imagine that we are using push and some message comes in, an email application or some warning message from the log
from
watching
the
application or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're going to cheat here and sleep for like 5 seconds.
Okay.
For instance. And obviously you shouldn't do this in your application.
Okay,
but for
so this is just webinar purposes.
Yes, because we are on a schedule here, we are going to do it this way. So we are going to sleep for a few seconds.
Hey, thank you for Peter. I noticed that you noticed the same thing about the notification show missing there. So
actually, when you are doing these things, you should do them live on web.
Yeah, we
all the time. So that
next time we code there directly on our forums. So
because I make these mistakes all the time.
Sooner enough. So
yes. So hopefully, if this reloaded now, I'm going to actually show. So maybe you're in a different tab or in a totally different application here. So I'm going to go over to Eclipse. And I get the notification on top of
this is nice.
Eclipse here.
This is actually nice.
And so after a while it disappears. It depends a little bit on your operating system, but we're on Mac here. No worries. It actually shows up in the notification center.
Yeah.
So I can go ahead and click that, and it takes me back to the application, back to the tab.
This is very good. Yeah.
So
this integrating with the desktop functionality like that. So
yes, so that's kind of a minimal thing you can do in like half an hour, especially if you do less typos than I do. And we actually get something that could be quite useful.
Yeah. So there was earlier question in forum about these extensions. It's about currency field and decimal validation. How far can you actually go with this extension type of add-ons? So could you extend a text field to do validation like this, or should you actually extend the next text field?
It depends. Yes, you could. Yes, the short answer. Yes, you definitely can. But you need to kind of see if you can achieve exactly the kind of usability that you are looking for. So it depends a little bit on exactly what you are trying to achieve. But it can be very handy in some situations that you can do it this way.
Yeah.
So, yes.
All right.
So I guess for our add-on here, the thing left is to actually publish it.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have
something? So I saw a couple of slides before. We can publish that in a while, but I wanted to extend that a little bit. That was a pretty simple one, so kind of underlines that it's very easy to create those add-ons. You can just pick up any JavaScript library and start using that in this way. But what you see here now is kind of the full structure, the full-fledged you showed there in the beginning of Wizard. So if you want to do it that way, so there are the different layers of the architecture. On the client side, there is the JavaScript, JSNI, my widget, which is Quit component. So then you would create a Quit wrapper first, integrate that with Vaadin and a communication layer, maybe use state or RPC. This was only using RPC, so it really makes sense to use simplified architecture there. And then the server-side component API, which is pretty much the same. So
I might point out that I find personally that for integrating small things like this is quite easy and quick to use this approach that I did.
Yeah.
But I usually actually go for the full-fledged.
Full-fledged.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you're going to run into trouble when you have a lot of API that you're trying to integrate and wrap around, and you just as we saw in this short example, I managed to have
10
a
lines
few
and
typos.
2 mistakes.
Yes, so that's
That's
so
basically
as soon
my experience.
as you have a little bit bigger, you can go ahead and like, so my plan actually here is pretty much to get this first version done, and then maybe I will adopt one of those Quit libraries and expand on this when I got a feel for this actually works, and it could be quite useful. So
right. So continuing from that, here is a kind of skeleton project structure or the package structure for the add-ons. So if you think of those components where they are logically they are in the client side, they go to the client package, and client public package is for publishing static resources like the JavaScript. So if you go for the full-fledged, then this is the layout you will end up with. Like in here, this was a shortcut. So this was a JavaScript integration. So basically, what you saw there was Vaadin taking care of most of the stuff. So the blue parts in this picture, they are something that the Vaadin actually takes care of. It automates the integration of this Notify.js and just helps you to create the Java component here, marked as green, and the demo UI. And normally, it's very hard to use those JavaScript libraries directly from server side. I've seen that done sometimes, so that they are very compatible with the server-side call mechanism, but mostly it makes sense to have an integration JS there in between, kind of taking care of the communication with the Vaadin component. And remember to extend the abstract JavaScript component in this case, so that's where the most of the functionality comes from. Right. Yes, last part. So now you have created something there and you want to distribute it. So what to do there? So in a sense, it's the hardest part again is something that you wouldn't expect. It's the naming. So you have to come up with a good name for your add-on. So maybe you come up with that already along the way, but if you haven't, now it's the latest moment you have to pick up a good name.
Yeah, I was kind of agonizing over if this one should be called web notifications as the API that it's wrapping,
yeah,
or maybe desktop notifications, because that's what it creates.
That's what it creates. So yeah,
it can be hard.
It can be hard. So I would probably go for the last one. It tells more about how it actually extends the application with the desktop notification. But it's a matter of taste also. Only limitation here in the naming that don't use Vaadin something because that's reserved. But other than that, just pick any fancy name, and be creative. So you have a good name there, so use that. So versioning. Don't invent this. There are good specifications. Follow the semver.org, for example. So major with the API changes, minor with the new functionality which doesn't break backward compatibility, and patches or build version for those that just fixes existing features. I think this is pretty much what we follow with Vaadin also. So it aligns nicely.
For some of my add-ons, and some other people have been doing this as well. When we got Vaadin 7, and it was a big change, I actually bumped the versioning to 7 for the add-ons as well.
Yeah, right.
Sort
just
of
to
leaving,
communicate that one.
Yes, and also leaving some room for actually developing the Vaadin 6 add-ons if you wish to do that.
Yeah.
But that's totally a preference. You can choose yourself, and I'm not sure if that's the best way, but you can do these kinds of things if you want to.
Yeah.
And if it makes sense for that particular add-on, maybe.
Yeah, and please remember that Maven is integrated in Vaadin directory, so it sets some limitations for the versioning and the naming also. So keep that in mind. So you get the benefit of the automatic Maven deployment. Other than that, it's very easy to publish something. You just create an account to vaadin.com, upload your jar file, and create some descriptive information there. So maybe you can show.
Yes.
With this add-on.
Yeah. Publish some web notifications.
Yeah, let's publish web notifications.
Let's do it. Yes. So I'm selecting the web notifications project that we have been working on, and once again, with the Vaadin plugin installed, you can go to export, and you will find here a Vaadin add-on package.
Right. So that's the jar file.
Yes, so we go ahead and export like that. You can choose a few options here. Usually the defaults are pretty good. You want to make sure that your title is correct, because this is the one that's going to be identifying your add-on.
Yeah, so this will be the title in the directory. So
and
no typos here anymore.
Version 1 is usually pretty good for the first version, and then your.
Yeah, so I would recommend that also. So start with the 1.0, not something like 0.0.1 or something like that. So you can do those versions for yourself, but when you're publishing, just start something meaningful.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. I mean, it would indicate that it doesn't work. In my mind, it's a preference, depending on.
Yeah,
for me. So why would I publish it then?
Yeah,
I would put it on GitHub, yes, but then not
publishing it probably.
Yes, but it's totally up to everyone, obviously. So if we would have some custom widget sets or style sheets, they go here. We don't have that in this particular case. So we are going to choose a location for exporting the jar. So it will create a jar for us. And it can update the manifest for us automatically, which is what the directory reads some information from.
At this point, I would recommend you to go to another project, test your jar file there first, that it works. Some kind of smoke test that, okay, your basic demo is working outside your project, because there are Java versions, there are Java EE versions, there are different things that might go wrong.
Yes, very good point. And also when you're exporting, if you manage to deselect something by accident,
exactly.
It didn't export the whole thing or something then. So I actually have an add-on test project here just for the purpose that I can drag the jar in the webinflip directory. The Eclipse plugin will pick it up and it will be, I can try it out.
So you can test it out
in
there
a separate,
first.
in a separate, totally separate project before I upload it to the directory. Or obviously in Maven you can set it up also. But it's good to test the end product, so actually dropping the jar in a project. So once we have exported that, let's again pop over to Safari here to the directory.
Okay.
And I'm logged in as myself here, and as you need to do, and there's a section when you're logged in that says I don't know if I can manage to zoom this. Let's see here, enlarge this and see if it, like so, my add-ons. We are going to go here and you go straight to the upload new add-on section here. So for this case, we would actually, these are the sections that, or types of different add-ons that Sami was talking about.
Yeah.
So I would say this is a UI component.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I could go ahead and upload the add-on package, but I have cheated a little bit. This is the first time that it's not done live. So I actually added the web notifications here already.
Okay.
So that I could, it's not published yet, we are going to look through these, that it's okay, but so I kind of, here is a summary, try to make it so that people can understand what the add-on is about. I'm not always that good with this, but really try to think, what will people be looking for? Will they realize that what this does?
Yeah, that's
so,
a good
okay,
point. So
this is not a very good description, but
you have both terms there.
We can edit it, and I added both terms so that possibly somebody will. Yes.
And actually one side note that directory is automatically tweeting about new add-ons, so that's the text that will get tweeted. So make it relevant to the add-on.
And so the next section is highlights. You can add screenshots and code snippets and YouTube videos about your add-on. So this is a really good idea, because once your name was good and somebody actually clicks on it, before they download, they probably want to see what it actually does. So
exactly.
What is the end result?
Is
possibly
this something that I
is it what I imagined that it would be? And maybe the API, how does that look? Yes, this looks exactly what I'm looking for, and so on. So I've added a few screenshots from how it looks on my computer here, and the code snippet from our demo UI, so you can see how it's being used.
Like, yeah.
And
so the two user experience there.
Yes.
Developer and end user.
And related links is the next one. There are some pre-configured that indicate that it's a good idea to add them, just as a reminder, or you can add your totally own. They will show up on the right side in the directory. So I added my own to Notify.js because it's what we are using. So it's
this is important. Give credits. So.
Yes. So I added a link to that, and I already uploaded it to GitHub, so that I could get a link here, and also for the issue tracker. The online demo, I actually deployed it also on my, so we are actually going to edit something here. So online demo, it's a very good idea to have a small demo of what you're actually doing. It can be surprisingly hard to grasp what it actually does from just the screenshot. So
right.
So and it's often the quickest way to click the demo link and try it out, and then try to figure out if it suits your need.
Yeah,
so
that's the two things I checked. So the demo and the source code. Okay,
yes.
Makes sense. I use this.
I think there are a lot of us with that attitude. So then we get for the version information here. Once you upload the first jar or any new jar, the version that you put in Eclipse in the field, we saw the field where you choose the version, it will show up here in the drop down.
Okay.
So we are talking about that version now. So you can have several different versions. You can have different versions for different Vaadin versions, for instance. So a separate one for an old Vaadin 6 or whatever. So you need to you can upload versions here and have them, even if the add-on is published, you can upload a new version, but you can choose to make it available later. So
right. If you have a
so the version will be ready to go here, and you can check that everything is in order, and then once you're ready, you
just
flip the switch and it's published.
All right.
And then you're going to indicate which versions are supported. We only used Vaadin 7 for this, and we used Vaadin 7 features to make it. I'm choosing to make it a beta.
Okay.
Because we just did it.
Yeah,
pretty
so
much.
It's
so
not stable yet,
but it seemed to work pretty well.
Works.
So it's not even the notified.js page indicated that Firefox, Google Chrome, and Safari
were supported.
Is supported. Opera seems to support web notifications, but I haven't tried it yet, so I'm going to try that later and update this page. And the always important licensing. In this case, Apache is compatible with the library that we used, and we want to use that.
Right.
And if you are uploading a new version, you might want to type some release notes, or at least something short about what does this new version actually do.
New browsers, new features.
So the first time you upload the jar, you are going to see a publish button down here. So if you want to publish it right away. So when I uploaded this, I instead saved it for later. So we're seeing it now. So now I can save my changes to it, and it won't be published yet.
Okay.
Here. And also I should mention that there's a preview button, so you can see here pretty much how the end result will look like before you actually commit and press the publish button. So I guess, should we do it?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Do we have some sort of countdown effect? 3, 2,
music.
1. So what I did is I flipped the published
3,
switch
2,
and
1.
we are saving the changes.
And it's public.
The add-on was published. So what's the delay for the Twitter? I guess your phone is going to tell.
Yeah, so I think it's going to show up here in a while.
So,
but you can go ahead and check it out there. So now you can have
live.
Desktop or web notifications in your application.
So we can actually go back to browsing here and
see how it looks like.
See if it actually shows up.
Looks like we are running out of time here, but good job. I think that was the first live.
Thank you for your help and the audience.
First live add-on I've ever seen. So excellent. I did have a couple of tips here in the end, so maybe I can show them to you. So just quickly, because I don't want to spend too much of your time, but what makes a good add-on? So this is a good add-on, I think. It's already had some new features in Vaadin framework that didn't exist previously there, and you might actually want to use that. It looks good for my application. But start with the ideas. So like Marc here, he pretty much started with himself. So he wanted to integrate something use something in his applications, I think. I'm reading your mind now. So
yes, well, actually the notifications as they are in Vaadin right now were implemented quite a number of years back when I was home sick.
Yeah.
So the first version, it's been improved.
Okay, so this is
and so this is kind of I've been waiting for the technology to support this. So
yeah, okay, nice timing. Yeah, so, and then generalize something. So if there is like here, there was an existing JavaScript library that actually did the work already. So use that and leverage that on your Java work. So it's about adding abstractions there, and in this typed abstractions, like in this case. And don't forget to maintain. That's my tip. So you too. So once you get, maybe we have a new version soonish. In the directory, when you're publishing, we pretty much covered this already, but be descriptive there. Think of SEO. So the search engine will find those, and your work will be better visible if you really think of the search terms the users might be looking after. Links, take good care of those. GitHub demo, everything was there. So I think that was a pretty good example in that sense.
In the end, it's much more rewarding if people actually use your add-ons, and that's why you upload them.
Yeah.
So it might be kind of beside the point to put a lot of work into the directory page or information and demos and so on, but it's worthwhile. It's really good to do it properly and think about what it should say, so that people can find it and can easily use it and realize what it's for actually.
I'm pretty sure you will get feedback if it doesn't work. So that's my experience, and it's good. It's helpful for everyone. Yeah. Okay. That's about it. So in the end, I just wanted to emphasize this. So there was some of you saying that that Vaadin is much like a Volkswagen. So yes, it might be a Volkswagen in that sense that it's gray and can you switch the here? Yeah. So this is what I mean. So it's pretty much the gray, and it's good because it's a good foundation for you. So you can fine tune it a little bit or a little bit more and add your own features there. And it's easy to see that why these features aren't in the basic version. They are your own features which you want to have there, and they are good as such. So basically, what I wanted to say, that make it your own. So Vaadin is a framework, but make it your own framework by creating add-ons.
Very well put.
Okay, thank you. And very well coded. Thank you everyone for listening. You have been pretty patient. We have exceeded our time slot a little bit, but we can continue this discussion there in the forums, so let's meet there.
Yes, shoot questions and I don't know, pull requests to the project or whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been exciting.
Yes. Bye.